Hello guys, my name is Speedbreaker and I gotta tell you that I've had some fun times. Of course my favorite tool, the M27, kicking everybody else's asses and racking up ridiculous kills like you see me doing here or in the intro. But the reason for today's video isn't just some random show off. No, today we're going to take a closer look at the new maps with the game modes other than Scavenger, the crossbow and the changes that came with the latest patch. And look at poor Killaby. What a brave fighter. What a brave fighter he was. Well, I was going to do this commentary about the crossbow all old school style, but since there's already so many reviews out there, I'm just going to share my humble opinion about it and try to give you some tips on when to use it and whatnot. But let's get started, shall we? Now, this first bit you can see right here is me playing some Conquest on Epicenter. And I figure I cannot stress enough that the Aftermath maps are a real alternative to the vanilla maps. The whole gameplay and game dynamics are so much better than on the old maps, and you won't find that much variety of possible gameplay style on any of them. You can go all Rambo and make some crazy multi-kills or take it slow and camp your ass up as a sniper. The game probably won't let you down in either position. The art and visuals, I might say objectively, are even better than in the armor kill maps, and all the maps really feel well thought out. There are no major balance issues making one team superior to the other, and there is always a great number of avenues to go around the maps. Same applies for Rush. So if you don't own Premium and just want to pick map packs after your liking, well, you're definitely going to love this one. And check out how I'm getting all sneaky behind these guys. I see them. I get the first, the second. Switch for my crossbow. For the last guy, he dies. I pick another victim for my poisoned arrow. Well, that would be awesome, wouldn't it? So the all-new crossbow. As I mentioned in the beginning, I'm not going into depth of all the weapon stats and unlock tasks that you have to handle to get this shiny new tool. All I'd like to talk about is if the crossbow has a place on a battlefield, and if so, where. Now when you first get the crossbow, it will only come with Cobra Sight and the standard bolt. And that's how you want to use it, exactly like that. Silent and deadly. So the standard bolt, which instant kills at any range within 20, respectively 35 meters, depending on the body part you hit. Of course, headshots will be insta kills at any range. Check Russian Badger's Expo guide for more detailed explanations. So the crossbow is actually a quite handy tool to have at your disposal if, say, you want to take out an enemy undetected, because of course crossbow shots won't show up on the minimap. Or if you just like the cool sound that animation it makes. It looks really cool, so there is no more reason needed to use it. In a competitive basis, on the other hand, you will probably not want to use it since the reload time takes forever and you're probably better off just shooting the enemy right in the face. Then there is the balanced bolt, which you see me unlocking right here. This bolt has less bullet drop and the travel speed is higher, meaning you don't have to lean a freaking kilometer in front of running targets in order to hit. The downside is the reduced damage it deals on infantry, so you really want to aim for the head or upper chest for an instant kill. I try to use this bolt in various circumstances, and even with the scope that you can unlock for the crossbow, I had a hard time pulling off these headshots. Most of the time I would end up dead, or only getting a hit marker or a kill without achieving that headshot. Now really I would say that the balanced bolt is borderline useless when it comes to killing enemies, since bringing about those headshots is rather hard once your target is moving, and really in close quarters you're just better off with the normal bolt and its higher damage. Now the third bolt that you can unlock for the crossbow is the explosive one. Think of a flying mini C4 with ridiculous small damage. You only kill infantry with direct impact, and very rarely with the splash damage, as the following footage shows. As you can see, the bullet drop is quite significant, so you have to aim well above everything to hit. It will disable all non-armored vehicles, choppers except for the transport chopper, attack helicopters and jets. And don't even think about using it against tanks or MBTs, because you will die before you can reload the about 4 bolts that are required to take them down. The last bolt is called the scan bolt, and basically what it does is it shows you all enemy players at the point of impact in a 10-meter radius. This might come in handy if you're too lazy to check out buildings. Now overall I think the best use of the crossbow actually has the sniper class. It will take up your equipment slot and you can switch between bolt types using V, so you can switch according to circumstances, like I just did. It's nice to stay off the minimap and own some noobs here and there. Now let's get to the weapon tweaks that the new patch brought. First of all, the M416, which you see me using here with Cobra sight and heavy barrel. It supposedly got a first shot horizontal recoil increase. Now let me show you this bit of gameplay to show you the significant changes they included. Well, overall I believe that the changes are so minor that no one ever could notice them. And to be honest, I'm really skeptical that this is gonna make the M16A3 a better weapon over this one. Then to one of the more interesting changes, the FAMAS that got a reduced horizontal recoil. I'm using it also with a Cobra sight and heavy barrel. Well, I haven't been using the FAMAS an awful lot, but using it now was a freaking pain in the ass. That weapon has such a high spread coupled with high rate of fire that controlling this thing on anything beyond 10 meters is more than frustrating. This and the rather small magazine makes it still a very hard to use weapon on long ranges and let me switch to my secondary gun because this one's empty yet again, gun on short ranges. Most of the time you'd only end up suppressing the enemy while dying from his fellow players. Now moving on to the M5K that got an increased horizontal recoil and a decreased vertical recoil. I'm using it here with the hollow sight, the laser and the suppressor in order to make the most of this PDW. I think it's still a pretty nasty killing machine on close quarters, since the 900 rounds per minute and the 25 max damage up to 6 meters will drop your opponent in 4 hits or 250 milliseconds. That's a fourth of a second. As you can see from the video, it's even possible to get some kills on medium ranges. That is, if you can compensate for the recoil and your target is not the best in the world. Using this gun with a laser sight just makes it more lethal, and if you can stay off the minimap by adding a suppressor, like I did here, you become a sneaky nuisance. Of course, you should always keep in mind how many bullets you've got left in your chamber, to avoid running up at 2 guys with only 3 shots left, like I'm just going to do right about now. Coming to one of my other favorite guns, the G53. I'm using it with a hollow sight and heavy barrel. Well, DICE reduced the vertical recoil to make this weapon, quote, more controllable. And I'm kind of confused about this one, because I think it was already pretty controllable in the first place and really didn't need any changes. But why not make something better than it already is? I gladly take the changes and say thanks. As you can see from this footage, this weapon really excels in close to medium ranges. Somehow, its spread oddly resembles the one of the M416, when you take a closer look at the datasheet on Synthic. Overall, I think it's still a great go-to gun. Furthermore, the L85 that I'm using with hollow sight, bipod and heavy barrel. It got a slightly reduced horizontal recoil, making its recoil and spread actually even better compared to the one of the M416. Well, I've really tried to get some cool footage for you guys, but to be honest, I had quite a hard time pulling off some consecutive kills. Overall, I didn't find the behavior to be any different than before. It's still not a very accurate weapon on longer ranges, and the rate of fire just doesn't quite cut it when it comes to a gunfight with one of the other assault rifles. As you can see right here, I somehow didn't manage to take down the second targets, even though I hit it multiple times. I think I got about 5 hit markers or something like that. Kill assist 80. Lol. This just makes me wonder where the place for this weapon should be on the battlefield. Now, check out that guy. In words of Frankie, people have looked less mental. But the weird new player model that DICE included in Aftermath shouldn't be the topic of today's discussion. So moving on to more interesting things. The AUG that got a slight decrease in its first shot recoil. I'm using it with Cobra sight and the heavy barrel. Well, first of all, I have to mention that I really like the AUG, not only because you could play the AUG back in the days when CSS came out, but also because of its easy to manage recoil and spread. Its stats are now almost identical to those of the M416, only its side-to-side recoil is slightly higher, whereas its hipfire accuracy is slightly lower. That doesn't mean that you can't shoot anybody at range, it's just easier when they are close. Of course, it would be smart to equip a laser sight, since your hipfire accuracy was even higher then. So, overall, if you're more of a running and gunning kind of type, then go ahead, take a look at the AUG. And if you're still not quite convinced whether or not this weapon is any good, just take a moment and look at this. And there's two guys coming down, got them both, reload, mentioned there's a guy behind me, and I die eventually. So, to one of the more exotic weapons out there, the QBC that I'm using with Cobra and laser sight. I would be equipping a heavy barrel if I could, but apparently I didn't ever use this weapon before, so I had to rank it up from the bat. I did actually happen to pull off some nice close quarter kills, that's where you want to use this weapon anyways, but its rather slow rate of fire just makes this weapon extremely redundant. If you're looking for a weapon like this, use the MTAR, which has almost identical stats, but is with 900 rounds per minute, 250 rounds faster than the QBC. And last but not least, the LSAT, which got an increased hipfire accuracy. What the fuck? I'm using it here with holo sight, bipod and flash suppressor. Well, what can I tell you about this machine gun? I actually never seriously play with a heavy machine gun, because I just don't like sitting on a rock suppressing the enemy while my team won't make any progress at all. If you want to go with the support class, for God's sake, take the M27. Slap a bipod on it and you're good to go. Really nothing stands out for the LSAT when it comes to comparison between the M27 and the LSAT, so why use it? So let's get to another update that I kind of found interesting. DICE allegedly fixed the broken rock collision, meaning that you could just not shoot a foot over a rock for some unknown reason. As you can see in these first two examples, I was able to shoot at the ammo box behind the rock with no difficulties. But what about here? Nope, no such luck. But for the most part, it really has gotten better now. And what about the annoying bad luck or suicide kills when flying close to mountain chains, you might ask? Well, apparently they fixed that too. Kudos. Well, that's it for this quick overview. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you did, please give it a rating and or subscribe. And until next time, ciao.